How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. We got ourselves some more stuff to talk about today, as per usual, so let's get right into it, starting off right away from this post right here, coming to us from the r/PokeLeaks Reddit. It's a Reddit specifically that talks about the recent leaks and stuff. Now, this post comes specifically in relation to Kurt, who is a data miner who data mines information for Pokemon games. If you don't know what data mining is, you can search it up. But basically, it is by digging up like files and stuff within games that, you know, normally some of them will be not usable or a lot of them will be usable, but stuff like that. Either way. Then we have Centro who says something here, which is basically the following. We have two new moves that have been leaked, possible signature moves of the Paradox Legendaries. And we're going to talk about these in a second as well. But what are we talking about? Well, basically, new leak. Two new moves have been leaked, potentially for Paradox Virizion and Paradox Suicune. Hydro Steam and Psyblade. So he says here, Kurt can confirm Lamau, Hydro Steam 1117 and Psyblade 1135 are selectable moves, and these would definitely then be possibly brand new moves. As we have learned now, they are willing to take existing moves and delete them or change their names and then give them to certain Pokemon as signature moves. An example of this is, for example, right now, I think Volcanion has Scald as a signature move. So nobody else can learn Scald in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet besides Volcanion, which is really weird, but also it just proves to you that they're very, very willing to change the names of moves and make certain moves exclusive. So if you're thinking of the move Steam or something like that, I don't know. Basically, Hydro Steam here is going to be possibly a new move for what would be Paradox Suicune. And then Psyblade would be for Paradox Virizion. At least that's what I'm assuming based on their designs and everything like that. I mean, it could be the other way around. You never know. But that's what I'm sort of assuming would be the case right here. Now, this was posted about 2 days ago, so I'm a little bit late on covering this. I still thought I would do it because, you know, most of you guys might have been just busy right now, especially with the holidays, just enjoying your time. And New Year's just happened. So we're into, you know, 2023 kicking things off like this. So again, your guys' thoughts and opinions on this would be very much appreciated in the comment section down below. As again, we do have these two basically leaked, data mined, confirmed Virizion and Suicune. Question though is what their typing is going to be. I'm not really certain of, and also what the deal is with them, right? How are they going to be serving in the game? What's their DLC purpose and stuff like that? And in talking about DLC, right, we are all speculating right now, what is the next thing for Pokemon? Well, this year I have already predicted, and I'm going to be doing a video breaking down the timeline going forward for Pokemon games, but I have a general prediction, which is that going into this year, we're going to be getting another spin-off Pokemon game, as well as, of course, a DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's most likely going to be the scenario, but either way. So we have a post right here from Somer Theories, or Somer, who basically says, today is the time of IDs for hypothetical DLC, so let's go. For me, the two most plausible locations would be the Canary Islands and the Balearic Islands, the Azore Islands, or Madeira. So the Canary Islands, of course, belonging to Spain, Madeira belonging, if I'm not mistaken, to Portugal. Actually, I think that's where Cristiano Ronaldo is born. And if I were to bet all my money, I'd go for the Canary Islands because of the following. And then he has actually a post down here, which we're going to look into that post, but there's also like a massive breakdown down here. But if you look at this, here's the big deal, part 2. Although this is a latter one, it's more of a retrospective theory regarding Snap. This is a screenshot from Pokemon Snap, in which several photos appear. Nothing special until you realize some of them belong to the Coco movie, and others are like real-life photos, right? Well, let me compare them with the following. First, let's go with the photo at the top of the right corner. I guess the picture right here with the tree says, for me, it's almost the exact same as this one, which is called Drago Milenario, located in Tenerife, one of the main islands of Spain. Which, interesting point. Then he says, next at the bottom right, we have what seems to be an IRL mountain that once again, at least for me, resembles Teide, the highest peak in Spain and also located in Tenerife. And I guess that would be there, I'm guessing. Next up is the following. Continuing on with the picture at the bottom center, we have some more generic landscapes. It could represent Parque de los Erjos, also in Tenerife, but as I say, it's the most generic out of all, so it could be anything. I'm perfectly aware of it. And then, of course, finally, we have the picture at the top left. I cannot guess exactly which tree it is because I'm not an expert in trees at all, but for me, it looks like an elm. And if not an elm, then there could be possibility that Scarlet and Violet's professor is precisely named after this tree. But this is, again, you know, old stuff. This is old stuff from back in March, right? This is old information from back then. Now, here's what he says. So he says the following. I'll go for the Canary Islands because of the following. So 2, another possible location for Scarlet and Violet DLC could be the Pyrenees and Andorra, lol. A snowy and beautiful area that delimits Paldea with Kalos, which, yes, that's the most prevalent possible theory. And the reason for this is if you actually look at the Paldean map, which I will try to bring it up here on the screen for you guys to see what we're talking about. Paldea map, if we look at the actual Paldean map, just generally speaking, you will notice that there is this sort of cutoff, that this part of the map where it just kind of cuts off. And interestingly enough, that part where it cuts off is more or less you would expect to see. So let's see. So like if you look at the map right here, I don't know if you guys can see this well enough, but if you look at it and if we zoom in, right, this section right here, see this area right here, it sort of just cuts off, right? And of course, Paldea is based on Spain and Portugal, and you know you would have to do a little bit of twisting and turning to get it to be correctly like in position. But normally speaking, on the real world, if this was Spain and Portugal, then you know France would be right above it, like right in this area where you see there is this kind of dark blue zone, if you guys haven't noticed it. There's this kind of dark blue area, and the way it's cut off is interesting, because the cutoff on it, if you actually look at it, like look at the design of this, the cutoff there looks oddly similar to an area that was also initially unavailable, right here, the Great Crater of Paldea, aka Area 0. It looks just like that. It gives you that same sort of impression, but that's not all. If you actually go here to this you know, northern province of Area 2, whatever, if you actually go to this area right here, I think actually in this zone on the top, there's an interesting thing that happens in this area, which is you run into 3 Pokemon that are all Dragon types, or have Dragon typing to them, and they're all from Kalos. They're all Pokemon that were introduced in Kalos, which would imply that there might be a connection. Now, of course, they wouldn't want to make a whole freaking region about Andorra, a tiny country that's literally squeezed in between these guys. I mean, if you actually look at the like map of Europe here, if we just kind of get like literal Google Maps up for this, if you actually look at it, you will notice an interesting factor, which is that Andorra is just kind of squeezed in between here. And if you look at this, like look at how Spain looks, right? You have the line right here that separates Spain and France, right? Look at the line and look at the same positioning here on this map right now. That is freaking identical. Like that is genuinely the identical position if you genuinely look at it. Like it's in the exact same space. They're in the exact same space. Now the question is, people are of course assuming they're going to give us Kalos. I don't think so. I think that they're going to kind of substitute this area right here. I think they're going to give us this section, this big area right here, this whole like blacked out part, so to say. Everything we see like dark blue color. I think that's going to become the equivalent of Andorra and like part of Kalos, right? Something that kind of, you know, serves both of those purposes. So we're not going to get Kalos. Don't expect all of Kalos to be given to us. The reason I say this is because, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Nintendo and we're talking about Pokemon here. They will do anything that is required from them to put out the bare minimum of work, okay? They will do the bare minimum to be required to sell you a product, okay? Just think about it. They will never go above and beyond. They will never add in everything you want. And they will never give you a second region without that being a whole new game. The only time we might expect that, or hope to God we get that, is if they remake Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, if they remake Gold and Silver in general, or Crystal or something like that. That's the only time we can hope for it, but even then, I'm genuinely skeptical that we might only get Johto to us, so you get the point I'm trying to say here. But either way, what am I trying to tell you? Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is that we're most likely going to get something based on Andorra. And I know here Somera's kind of laughing at that idea, but, you know, kind of like when he mentions Andorra, but it does make sense, right? It do be making sense, though, right? It says, another option could be Ceuta and Melilla, 2 Spanish cities that are actually in the African territory. It would be interesting to see them in the game someday. And then he asks us, what do we think? Did I miss any important places? Let me know. And he also includes the Balearic Islands could now be discarded since they're already represented as a small island in the east of the region. So I guess that kind of pushes those away in a sense, right? Those are not as prevalent as, you know, of a possibility, if you want to put it in that way, anymore. But again, you guys' thoughts and opinions on this are very much appreciated. I don't really know if this is where we're going to be going with this. I don't really know if we're going to get, like, personally, I think the 2 things we're going to get is Andorra plus part of Kalos. But when I say part of Kalos, I'm not talking about literal Kalos. I'm talking about a part of the region that doesn't have any connection to the main Kalos, right? And it's not going to be called Kalos. It's just going to have some connection to, again, you know, specifically, you know, Paldea in this case. But what I think we're going to get is these 2. The Canary Islands, and again, Andorra / the Pyrenees, whatever you want to call it, just a mountain range up there. And kind of a bit of like the bottom of France, so to say, right? That's what I think. Now, the reason I think that is because think about what we got with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Think about what we got there. We had the Isle of Man, right? Which I think that's what it was. If we just look this up, so Isle of Man. We got the Isle of Man, which is located. If we look here on the map. So the Isle of Man. If we look on the actual, map here, the Isle of Man is located right here. It's just this little island. Well, it's kind of large actually, if you really think about it. But Isle of Man is right there, and that's what Isle of Armor is based on. I mean, it even has the same naming scheme, right? Isle of Armor, Isle of Man. It's just there, you know what I mean? So that was obviously what they based that on. And then, of course, we had Crown Tundra. Now, Crown Tundra, if I'm not mistaken, I could be totally wrong about this, but I do think that's more like Scotland, right? Like the most northern part, right? Because it's the coldest area. I mean, even if you look here, it is the more cold area of even the UK, right? It's like the place where, you would expect there to be more, I guess, not sure if mountainous would be the right word, but it's just colder in general, right? Because the further north you go, the colder it gets. But, the Crown Tundra was based on this part. The Isle of Armor was based on this part. So obviously, one was an island and one was a landlocked thing. So an island and a landlocked thing. Now, why in the world would they not do the same thing for Paldea? They give us a set of islands that we can travel to, right? A set of islands that could be anywhere, right? And they give us a second DLC because last time around they gave us 2 of them. They could also just do 1. That's obviously possible as well. But in this case, I'm assuming, right, that they will just go with, double thingy again. 1 with the Canary Islands, because there's multiple of them. They can easily make a thing where we can, surf across them, and we're supposed to do some tasks on each of them that might have to do with literal culture that would be found on the Canary Islands, etc., etc. Then, on the other hand, you also have Andorra and part of Kalos, which again could make that connection between the 2 regions, but also give us some new stuff to find, new Pokemon to find, and also a connection, like kind of a mix between warm and cold, right? Because on one end you would have like a little mountain range, which is going to be colder and kind of give us more like more like what we already have in like up here in like the mountains, so to say. With the Glaciado Mountain and the like Monte Nevera and all that sort of stuff. It'll kind of give us more of that, but like just expand it, I guess. Plus a little bit of warm zones up here, further up in north you would go, I guess. But basically, it would give us the same thing again. It would give us what we already got. It would give us a cold region, cold expansion area, and a warm expansion area, kind of giving us a little bit of both summer and winter, right? That's what we would receive, I'm assuming. Again, I could be wrong. They could go for just one thing here, which is fine, but again, anything is possible. So that's again why I'm bringing this up. And if you guys want to see me do a video, let's set a goal, okay? If this video gets to 400 likes, I'll be putting out a video about my personal prediction for everything in terms of what Pokemon, what we're going to see for the next 5 years of Pokemon, like the timeline going forward. If you guys want to see a video on that from me, then simply drop a like down below. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you all guys in the next video. Thank you for being here. Peace out. Bye bye.